Hi guys! So it's time to paint your Zentangles today. Hopefully you thought of some really creative patterns. I have a little cityscape down here with the stars and the moon, so you would think that this would be the bottom, but then I have a spider web up here and my spider is dangling here, and then like little mushrooms, so you might think that this is the bottom. But then if you turn it this way, this is not really a very good bottom. My umbrella is right side up right here. I really like this as my bottom. This seems really heavy down here and the heart's kind of floating. They seem very light, so I feel like that should be the top and then the heavy part should be kind of the anchor on the bottom. So this is the way that I'm going to paint my Zentangle. And I want you guys to paint it using 3 to 5 analogous colors. So I'm going to talk about what that is. This is the color wheel, and analogous colors are colors right next to each other on the color wheel. So for example, you could use red, orange, yellow, orange, and yellow. So in your paint palette, you would just be using red, orange, and yellow. And then by mixing yellow and orange, you would get a yellow orange. By mixing red and orange, you would get red orange. You'd have 5 analogous colors. So if you just use 3 colors on your paint palette, you'll probably get 5 or 6 colors on your actual painting. Okay, so think about the kind of mood you want to give off. These warm colors, your red, oranges, and yellows, those are more exciting. They can represent things like anger or excitement. The cooler colors are like greens, blues, and purples. Cool colors can represent things like nature. They can be very calming and relaxing. It depends on what kind of colors you use, and then that will depend on what kind of feeling or mood your Zentangle creates. Okay, so to use watercolor, you have paint, but you need to get it wet in order for it to work, okay? So right now, if I just tried painting with this, nothing's gonna get on my brush. So we have to add water. I like to add a little bit of water to the paint first so it can kind of soak it up. And I'm going to use cool colors, green, blue, and purple. Okay, so I'm going to be using green, blue, purple. So my analogous colors will also include blue-green, blue-violet, and violet. Okay, so those are my 5 analogous colors that I'm going to be using. Okay. So you guys can paint 2 different ways. If you wanted to paint inside of the lines on the patterns that you drew, you can definitely do this. This is going to take a little bit longer, and I'm the type of person that I like to have a colorful background, so I would suggest coloring your background first, and then if you wanted to layer detailed paint on top of that, you could. But then you would want to make your background pretty light, so that means you would use more water than paint, so your paint is more transparent. So let's just do some blue, and I'm just going to do a background, say right here. And this blue is pretty bright, so if I just dip my paintbrush in my water and just add water to it, I don't want to add any more paint. And I don't know if I want to paint outside of my lines yet, so I'm not going to. I'm going to wait till the end. I kind of want to keep my border white. Okay, I'm just adding more water to my paintbrush. I don't need any more paint. And you can kind of move the paint and the water around with your paintbrush. Okay, then I'm gonna mix that with my green. So I'm gonna start adding green over here. Add some more water to my brush. And I wanna mix those colors together. It's up to you where you wanna start and stop painting. Like I said, some of you are going to want to paint in your objects. I'm just working on doing a really light background right now, and then I can layer more colors on top of this later. Okay, and then I'm gonna add some green over here. I know that I don't really want my green and my purple to mix, so I'm kind of thinking about where I'm putting my colors. I'm not just putting them down wherever, I am thinking about where I want them. Okay, blending it in with my blue a little bit. Now I'm gonna go back to blue. Remember, if you get too much paint on your brush, you can always add some water to it. I don't really want my background to be really dark, because I'm gonna add some colors on top. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of blue over here. Okay, I put my paint down, but now I'm adding some water to it. The more water you add to your paper, it might start getting wrinkly, and that's because the paper can only hold so much water, so you don't want to be adding too much water. This is a pretty good quality water paper, so it should hold quite a bit of water. Okay, so now I'm gonna put my purple next to my blue. You can see that's really dark, so I'm just gonna have to add some water to it, but first I'm gonna spread this paint out. Okay, now I'm just adding water, and this will take me a ways because there's a lot of paint. So I'm just gonna paint right over that green and keep pulling this color away, bringing it over here. Okay, now I want to start mixing my purple and blues a little bit so they blend really nicely. You want your colors to blend. You don't want there to be implied lines in between all of your colors. You don't have to have perfectly straight lines as a border. You can give it the more the watercolor look by adding those uneven edges. My colors are starting to get a little dark, so I'm just gonna keep adding a little more water. And I'm using the side of my brush so it can spread out a lot easier. I'm not using the tip right now because I'm not painting any small details. you.